Ciao, this is Francesco and today I'm going to share with you the recipe of something that I cook quite often. Sometimes when I have some cheese or cured meat leftovers. In fact, today's recipe is a money-saving idea and at the same time a delicacy that came first from France, then in the 1700s arrived in Naples, and after that it spread all over the country. This is due to the fact that Italy has a very complicated history, and you can see this in a lot of aspects of our culture or our everyday life. The fact that through history we had a lot of dominations from other countries, we've been conquered. This gave birth to a lot of food that is influenced by other cultures. The recipe I'm going to talk to you about today, I like to call it Tortino Di Patate, but the original name comes from France and it's called Gâteau. Some people in Naples and in some areas of the south, they call it Gâteau, which is just the Italian version of the original name. Anyway, the recipe is very similar to the original French one, but there are some differences. The French recipe is made with Gruyère. In Italy, and especially in Naples, they like to use mozzarella fior di latte cheese. Of course, the same applies to the cured meat. For example, instead of ham, you can use prosciutto or salami or a combination of all the flavors together. Once you learn how to make it, you can make experiments and put inside whatever you prefer. In today's video, I'm going to use prosciutto and processed cheese instead of mozzarella cheese. I know it sounds a little cheesy, but in my opinion, it's of course, first of all, tastier, but second, and most importantly, I like to eat it the next day at room temperature, and I think that at room temperature, processed cheese stays more creamy. Mozzarella otherwise will be, hard and chewy, which is something that I don't really like. But of course, as I said, there is no rule. Every family has a different recipe and every recipe works fine. You just have to use the ingredients that you love the most. Now, before we start with this video, I would like to remind you to leave a like, to consider subscribing to this channel, and to click on the notification bell to stay tuned. Thanks for your attention. First of all, we will need to boil some potatoes. My suggestion is to use potatoes that have a dense texture for a better result. To obtain 4 portions, I would suggest about 1 kilo and 200 grams of potatoes, which is 42 in ounces, and please note that this was the weight before peeling them. I also prefer to steam them in order to preserve all the flavors and the nutrients, and to peel them and cut them before cooking. This way, it will take way less for them to be well done and soft enough to be mashed. While the potatoes are cooking, you can whisk 1 egg and add some salt and white pepper. I cooked the potatoes for about 40 minutes. Anyway, you can check them with a fork to be sure they are ready. Once they are ready, move them in a bowl and let them cool a little. We don't want to cook the egg. Then start smashing them. You don't have to smash them completely. Actually, if you leave some pieces, your tortino will have more textures and this makes it even better, in my opinion. At this point, we just need to add some salt, white pepper, extra virgin olive oil, abundant grated Parmigiano Reggiano cheese and the egg we whisked before. Be sure you mix well all the ingredients. Now you just have to grease a non-stick tray with some extra virgin olive oil and cover with some breadcrumbs, like this. This procedure is actually optional, but I recommend it. The breadcrumbs will add more texture and I personally love this touch. Spread a half of the potato mix on the tray and get ready for the filling. As I told you, I chose prosciutto, but you can use ham or salami, or a mix of the leftovers you have. As I said in the introduction, instead of the traditional mozzarella cheese, I prefer processed cheese, because the flavor is more intense and most of all, since I like to eat it at room temperature the next day, when it cools down it stays creamy and nice. Cover up with the rest of potatoes and level it with a spatula. At this point, add some more breadcrumbs on top. And olive oil for extra crispiness. Preheat your oven at 210 Celsius degrees, which is 410 Fahrenheit degrees, and bake your tortino for about 40 minutes. Be sure you let it cool a little before cutting and serving it, otherwise it may break and you could burn your mouth while eating it. The crust outside, the soft internal texture, and the explosion of flavors of the filling make this simple recipe a delicious and inexpensive dish. A gift from France that we really love. Thank you all for watching. If you liked this recipe, please don't forget to like, subscribe and click on the notification bell to stay tuned. Also, let me know in the comments if you tried the recipe and how did it go. See you soon. Ciao!